right, perfect. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on today's webinar. In today's webinar, we're going to be discussing our Dash line and then some of our TAA Korean line. Now, our Dash line is our consumer level product line and consists of a few different products in that line, including the Dinger doorbell, the Singer accessory, which gives you the ability to have a wireless chime throughout your home. And then finally, the Floodlight camera. We're going to be talking about these three devices here, and then we're going to go ahead and transition into our TAA line offering, which is wholly manufactured in Korea, which we're very proud of to move out of Chinese manufacturing. So let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, as Chris mentioned, my name is Michael Caballero. I'm the product specialist and training manager here at IC Realtime. So let's get started. So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the Dinger, the Singer, and the Flutter, and I'm going to be starting off with the Dinger doorbell. This is a Wi-Fi video doorbell. This is manufactured to have a little bit of competition with your Ring and Nest devices. Keep in mind with those, you don't have the ability to tie those into an already existing security system. With the Dinger doorbell, you do have the ability to tie this into any IC Realtime security system. The Dash Dinger video doorbell camera supports up to 1080p, 2 megapixel HD video with super wide field of view and IR night vision, enabling you to see what's at your front door through your mobile device, your recorder, or your automation system. With instant notifications and two-way communication, Dinger delivers peace of mind day and night. So let's take a look at some of the specs on the actual Dinger doorbell here. So here's a spec breakdown of the Dinger doorbell, and we're going to start out with, again, that aforementioned 2 megapixel 1080p resolution, super wide angle field of view at 140 degrees. Now, what are the advantages of that 140 degree field of view is that if you have a doorbell that is adjacent to your front door, which actually doesn't face outward but faces adjacent to that front door, with that 180 degree field of view, you're going to be able to still see your walkway, your entrance area, and your front door from that Dinger doorbell. Now we are coming out with a few accessories that will compensate for that as well. We'll have a wedge mount that will actually allow the Dinger doorbell to look outward even if it is adjacent to the front door, so that's something to look out for. Then we have our PIR detection, so passive infrared detection. So this is using heat to capture motion detection. It's got a horizontal 120 degree field of view and has an effective distance at 16.5 feet. Now, something to keep in mind here with that PR detection is that it's adjustable. So you're able to go in through the mobile application and you're able to adjust that field of view just in case you're triggering on things like your neighbors or maybe your street, that you may have some false positives. That's going to allow you to minimize those false positives by making adjustments to that PIR detection zone. Next, we do have IR night vision at, again, 16.5 feet as well. So you'll have that IR functionality in low light conditions. Then we have two-way talk. You're able to respond to your doorbell presses from the mobile application using the Dash app we're going to talk about in a second. So keep that in mind as well, that we'll have that functionality there available. Next is going to be power, and this is simply powered by AC 16 to 24 volt or DC 12 to 24 volt. We do have a cloud storage solution as well, and that cloud storage solution is optional because do keep in mind that you can add these devices to any of our IC Realtime and Clearview recorders as any other IP camera and use the actual recorder's hard drive to record any of that video to the hard drive. So it really, there's no need for a cloud storage, but we did want to provide one. That cloud storage is $3 a month for 30 days, $6 for 60 days, and then for $15, you'll get 365 days of storage and retention. So very cheap price for that cloud storage. But again, we do have the added and integrated SD card, micro SD card that comes with the Dinger. And we give you 16 gigs of storage on the SD card. And you can also add that to the recorder as well. And then lastly, this is a Wi-Fi connected device. This is not a hardwired connected device. That's something that you will see later on in our Pro Dinger doorbell. But right now, this is Wi-Fi connected 802.11b and N at 2.4 gigahertz. Now, all of these devices are going to be supported by our Dash app. This is a free mobile application provided by IC Realtime that allows you to add the Dinger doorbell, the Singer, as well as the Flutter. And this is going to give you the ability to, again, communicate, receive your notifications in a push-style notification, see all of your recordings, whether your recordings are in the cloud or on the micro SD card. And it'll allow you to add as many Dinger devices or Flutter devices or Singer devices that you need. Now, also, we have just released a new mobile device from our new mobile application from IC Realtime. So our ICRSS Pro has been upgraded, and you'll see functionality in that ICRSS Pro to also use the Dinger and the Flutter there. You can now receive notifications through that mobile application. So not only do you have support for the Dash app, but you also have mobile app support from ICRSS Pro as well. Now, here's a breakdown of what you're going to see on that Dinger doorbell. First, at the top, you'll see the PIR detector. Next, you'll see the actual 140-degree lens, your IR LED, your built-in speaker, as well as your built-in microphone, and your indication LED, which we'll touch on in a second. Then on the back view here, you have your micro SD card slot. Now, that comes included with 16 gigs of storage, but you can upgrade this up to 64 gigs of storage. As you see, you'll also have your hard reset button and your 2-wire power there. Now, on the bottom there, behind that dust boot is also going to be a micro USB port as well. So what that means is if you want to use this just as a demo device and maybe just have this sitting on a tabletop, on a desktop, wherever you need that, you have the ability to power that way as well. So you have a few power options, but most people are going to use already existing doorbells and have that 2-wire functionality embedded already. So we'll use that 2-wire setup here. So now let's take a look at what comes in the box with the Dinger doorbell. Of course, you're going to get your Dash Dinger doorbell. You're going to get your quick start guide. You're going to get your surface mount holder, your cable package, along with the chime kit. Now let's talk about that chime kit for a second. So in the box, when you get your Dinger, it comes with a chime kit for already existing chimes, and they can be mechanical chimes or electronic chimes. But for those already existing doorbell systems, you'll be able to apply our chime kit to that already existing chime and use our chime kit along with the Dinger doorbell. You'll also receive a hardware package, your level, your screwdriver bit, and your screwdriver handle. So everything's provided for you to mount this on your already existing doorbells. Now, here's another breakdown, and the reason why I brought this up is because I just want to really talk about the LED indicator and what those functions mean here. So as you can see here on that description, blue spinning means that you're calling the person on the other line. A blue solid means you've made connection with that person and you're now communicating between the Dinger doorbell and the actual Dash application. And then blue flashing is going to mean an abnormal network. Now let's talk about those abnormal networks for a second. Something you want to keep in mind here, and this is something with any Wi-Fi connected device that's on the exterior of a home. Realistically, you want to have a really good Wi-Fi connection that can reach the exterior of that home. If you can go outside with your mobile phone and you can still have a internet connection or a Wi-Fi connection from that home, you're pretty much good to go. Recommendations on the type of Wi-Fis I would recommend on these are going to be, of course, mesh Wi-Fis. Mesh Wi-Fis are fantastic in giving whole home coverage. And then any high-end Wi-Fi router in place would be fantastic. So something like a Netgear Nighthawk or a higher-end Wi-Fi device that gives you that connectivity to reach the exterior of homes. So these are going to be your power options for the Dinger doorbell. We have a few different options here. First is going to be AC power, and you're going to then splice that AC power into that mechanical chime, then using that chime kit. Next is going to be direct AC power, of course, using Dash Singer chime kit, which we'll talk about in a second. Next is going to be AC power using your electronic chime. And as I mentioned, that chime kit will replace that electronic chime. And then lastly is going to be DC power, again, direct DC power using that Dash Singer chime kit that's sold separately, which we'll talk about in a moment. Now here we have our Dinger installation. So the dinger installation is extremely simple here. You're going to mount your mounting plate. Once you do mount that mounting plate to the wall, replacing the already existing doorbell, you're then going to mount that dinger using an installation screw, an M36 installation screw on the bottom to secure that dinger to the wall. Once you have that wired and you have that dinger set to the wall, a couple of things to keep in mind here is that the QR code for the dinger doorbell is on the back of the device. So you may want to scan that before you mount it. But if you do mount that without scanning it, just make sure you have not thrown away the box, as the box has the corresponding QR code that's on the device listed on the box, and you can simply scan that box using that mobile app and add that dinger device to the actual mobile application. Now, speaking on that mobile application here, this is the mobile app that we're going to be using. This is the Dash mobile application. And setting this up is as simple as scanning that QR code and adding that dinger device to the mobile application. Once you've done that, you're simply going to scan your Wi-Fi network, look for your Wi-Fi, and connect to your Wi-Fi. Once you've connected to your Wi-Fi, you have your dinger all set up, connected to your Dash application, and really all you have to do after that point is set to whether you want to record to the cloud or subscribe to the cloud if you want to use cloud storage solution, or switch over to your SD card that's already included, as I mentioned. Once you have that, again, you may want to make adjustments to your PIR field of view. Once you've done that, your dinger is ready to go. Now, next, we're going to talk about the Singer. And the Singer is a very, very simple device here. This is a Wi-Fi chime kit. It utilizes an AC power outlet, so there's no really mounting to be had here. You're simply going to plug this into any available AC outlet. That's going to go ahead and power on. It's a plug-and-play device. Like I mentioned, simple to install, uses that Dash mobile application, and gives you multiple ringtones to customize straight from the mobile app. So you have a few options in the ringtones that you're going to utilize. But again, this is very, very simple here. Once you have your Singer, you're basically going to plug that in. You have your loudspeaker, your LED indicator, and your pairing button. You have a few indicators, blue flashing, meaning that your wireless router is not connected, cloud service is not connected, and maybe to enable hotspot. If you have a blue solid, you mean cloud services are connected successfully. Do keep in mind, though it does indicate that you don't need cloud service for any of these devices to function or to receive notifications. These will all just tie together through the mobile application. So you'll simply plug that into your wall. That will power your Singer. And then again, you're simply going to scan a QR code, and that's going to add that Singer device to your mobile application. Now, once you do that, you're going to choose a password for your Singer. You're going to log into your Wi-Fi network, and then you're going to go ahead and tie that Singer device to the dinger doorbell. It's really that simple. Once you've tied those two together, you can press that doorbell on the dinger doorbell, and you can hear that Singer throughout your home. You can add multiple Singer devices. So if you want a doorbell, not only in your living room or in your hallway, but in your bedroom as well, you can add as many Singer devices as you need to set that up throughout your home environment. Once you've done that, you can go through and test out your ringtones and see what ringtone is comfortable for you. Once you've done that, again, simple operation, simple to add, and you're good to go when it comes to adding those devices. Now, next is going to be the Flutter. And the Flutter is our Floodlight camera, Wi-Fi video Floodlight camera. The Dash Flutter camera delivers 1080p, 2 megapixel live video monitoring and playback from any mobile device, recorder, or automation system. Protect your home with a motion-activated HD camera and built-in bright LED floodlights. Stay notified with real-time active notifications and two-way communications. Deter unwanted strangers with the 110 decibel remotely controlled siren. Setup is simple. Replace any existing wired floodlight with the Flutter's easy app, basic setup, and robust Wi-Fi. From dusk till dawn, Flutter has you covered. So again, let's take a look at some of the specs on the Floodlight. As I mentioned, 1080p resolution, 2 megapixel active deterrence. So you can deter unwanted strangers with that 110 decibel floodlight siren. A couple of things about that siren. First, that siren has default alarms that you can utilize, but you also have the ability to use your own recording as a siren. So through the mobile application, you do have the ability to record your own siren, make your own annunciation. So if you want to tell somebody that they're being monitored and to get off their property, you have the ability to do that automatically. Not only that, that 110 decibel siren acts as your speaker when you're communicating. So if you see someone on your camera, you can then actively communicate through that siren that you've spotted them and they need to please leave the property. They're being monitored by your camera. So you have all of those capabilities with that active deterrence. Now, you do also have multiple lighting modes, including a manual lighting mode, which you can simply activate through the mobile app, dusk till dawn, motion activated, as well as a scheduled lighting mode as well. Now, when it comes to these floodlights, they are not, the intensity is not adjustable. You have a single intensity. They are very, very bright, but right now they are not adjustable floodlights. Again, you have that ability for two-way talk. So you have not only that 110 decibel speaker siren that you can communicate through, but you also have a microphone as well. So you can speak and you can hear anybody that's on the other end of that camera as well. Now, we are using H.265 codec through all of these devices, which means as you can add those to your recorder and as they are moving through your local area network, it's going to minimize the bandwidth traffic, and it's also going to minimize the hard drive consumption on your recorder as well as on that micro SD card as well. This is IP65 rated for the harshest of environments. Again, this is a Wi-Fi device, 802.11b, G, and N at 2.4 gigahertz. Of course, we included the 16 gigabyte micro SD card on this device as well, but this device supports up to 256 gigs that you can add in. And then same cloud storage solution, and something to clarify when it comes to that cloud storage solution, that is tied to the specific device. So if you add multiple devices to your Dash app, maybe a Dinger, maybe a Flutter, those individual devices will have their own cloud storage. It's not tied to the actual application. So if you want 30 days of storage on the Dinger and you want 30 days of storage on the Flutter, you're going to have to purchase each cloud storage solution individually. But once you have that, you're good to go. And as I mentioned, again, you can tie these to your recorder system, and you can also utilize the micro SD storage that is included. Again, you're going to use the same Dash application, and the same functionality is going to apply to the IC RSS Pro. Again, like I mentioned, we just released the newest version of IC RSS Pro that does add the functionality to have these and receive the notifications from the actual Flutter and the Dinger. Something to keep in mind here, though, is that you'll want to set things up on the Dash app, and once you do, you can add them to the IC RSS Pro, and then that's where you'll receive your notifications. If you have the older version of IC RSS Pro, you can simply receive those notifications from the Dash app instead of IC RSS Pro. But you've got quite a few options here when it comes to the mobile applications that you'll want to utilize. Now, next here is going to be a breakdown of the actual Flutter. You have your sensor mount there, and then you have 3 articulating arms that's going to hold the 2 floodlights as well as the full camera housing as well. So on that camera housing, below the floodlights, you're going to have your hard reset button. You're going to have your built-in microphone. You're going to have your lens, your PIR detector, your micro SD slot, your indication LED. Now, something to keep in mind here, we've had many questions as to whether you can mount this direct. This has to be mounted direct to a wall, or if you can mount this under an eave or a soffit, which you absolutely can. You can mount this under an eave or a soffit. The only thing I mentioned is you want to really pay attention to the overhang on any of those eaves or those soffits. With those articulating arms, you can position those to where you can swing those under those eaves and those soffits. You may need to use a back box if you need to get lower under those eaves or soffits, but you can mount those to those as well as mounting them directly to a wall as well. Let's take a look at what comes in the box with the Dinger and the Flutter. So in the box, you're going to get your Flutter floodlight camera. You're going to get your quick start guide. You're going to get your mounting hook that allows you to hang the floodlight while you're doing your wiring. You'll get your wire nuts to secure all of your wires, your mounting screws, your hardware kit, and your mounting plate. So let's take a look at how to mount that floodlight. So here's the breakdown on how to mount that flutter. And as you can see here, we're going to start out with, of course, turning off that breaker in the location where you're going to mount this. Again, you're going to apply either your junction box or you're going to mount without a junction box, depending on your situation and setup. Like I mentioned, if you're mounting under an eave or a soffit, you may want to utilize a junction box along with that mounting plate. If you're just mounting directly to the wall, you may not require a junction box and you'll mount directly to that wall. Once you've done that, you can then hang with the included hook the floodlight from the actual mounting plate. And once you've done that, that'll allow you to go ahead and wire in the floodlight. Now, once you've began wiring that in, you're going to start out with your bare copper wire. That's going to be your ground wire. Then you're going to have, and this is a 110 volt setup. You'll have your white wire from the flutter, which is going to be your neutral wire, and then your black wire from the flutter, which is going to be your power wire or your hot wire. Once your wiring is completed, then you can go ahead and mount to your mounting plate, whether it be with or without a junction box. Once you've mounted that, again, like I mentioned, you have your articulating arms, and you can then position those as need be, including not only the floodlights, but the camera itself. Once you've done that, it's going to be the same process that we discussed here with the Dash app. You're going to scan that QR code. You're going to add that device. You're then going to tie into your Wi-Fi. Once you've done that, your setup is complete. Again, you may need to make some configuration settings to your field of view on the actual floodlight when it comes to your PIR detection, so you minimize false positives. And setup is complete. We've gone through great efforts to make sure that we've made this a very simple setup, and we're going to continue to develop this and add more devices to that Dash line, and it's something that we're very proud of here at IC Realtime. I think what probably the best idea to do here is to maybe field any questions anyone might have on the Dash app or the Dash line before we transition into the TAA line, and then we'll take any questions on that TAA line. So we have a few questions here in Q&A. So let's start out with those, and we'll start out with Michael. So does the dinger have zones that can be blocked out to refine unwanted motion detection? So as you saw here, you do have the ability for that PIR detection, which works in conjunction with your pixel-based motion detection from the lens of the camera to redefine those zones to minimize those chances of false positives. Again, Michael, will you integrate with alarm.com? That's something that we're looking at. We're working slowly through our integration when it comes to our partners. So we're working on, we had our Alexa skill. We found a few bugs, so we're hashing those out right now, along with our Google Home setup. Once we have that, we are also working on our Savant integration, and then we are going down the line with all the other integration partners, including Control4. So Todd, that answers your question there. You will see integration with Control4 at a certain point. And then some of the other home automation systems, this does support RTSP. So you'll be able to custom configure this just to send an RTSP stream from any control system, including Control4, Savant, and many other control systems there. So no issue with integration. It's something that is in development at this point. So Todd, again, can Dash products record to IC Realtime's NVRs? Yes, absolutely. You can add this device to any IC Realtime or Clearview recorder at this point, and that's going to give you the ability to record directly to any of those devices and really forego any need for cloud storage, any cloud storage solutions. So yes, you can absolutely record to any IC Realtime NVR, DVR, or well, not DVR, but any NVR or hybrid AVR that we have in our product line. Yes, Harrow, this is only available through authorized dealers. We're only selling this to our authorized dealer network. What is the upload bandwidth requirement per camera? So I would say probably, Cody, about 5 megabits. It's a 2 megapixel resolution, and so it's really only a 2048 bit rate there. So not very much in terms of the upload bandwidth requirement per camera. So you don't need much in terms of quality internet connection if you're looking at this remotely. Again, a minimum of between 5 and 10 megabits upload is really all you need. Let's see if we get any more questions here before we go ahead and transition into that TAA line. All right, so what I'm going to do, just in the sake of time, is I'm going to go ahead and start the TAA line description, and then once we do that, I'll swing back around for any questions that anyone might have here. All right, everyone. So this is our TAA line. And when it comes to our TAA line, this is going to be our Trade Act Agreement line of cameras and recorders. What that means is these are all manufactured from our Korean source. So with that, you're going to have the quality and peace of mind of having cameras that are not manufactured from China. Now, this is not NDA compliant as of yet. Our manufacturer in Korea still uses some small pieces of chipsets that they have to get from China just because of China's chipset manufacturing. So this is not completely NDA compliant as of yet, so we're not making those claims, but it is TAA compliant as it is wholly manufactured in Korea. With that, you're going to have the ability to offer these to municipalities. You're going to have the ability to offer these to, of course, your commercial and your residential customers that may understand the liabilities that come with having cameras that do come from Chinese manufacturing. As you all know of the stigma that's been around Chinese manufacturing for the last couple of years in terms of identity theft and IP theft, in terms of intellectual property. Really, there's a bad stigma from Chinese manufacturing at this point, especially in the security industry. We've all seen with some of our competitors like Hikvision, some of the backdoor intrusion issues that have arisen here. So not only are these TAA cameras Trade Act compliant, they are also FIPS compliant. So they are hardened when it comes to cybersecurity through a lot of the efforts that we made. Perfect forward secrecy, 128-bit encryption, digest authentication, of course, our 8-character minimum passwords, our 2-step verification, our closing of telnet services when it comes to getting into our cameras or recorders. So all of these efforts that we've made to secure our cameras make IC Realtime's cameras, especially our Korean line, some of the most secure and hardened cameras in the industry. That's claims that really a lot of people cannot make when they're utilizing Chinese manufacturing. Now, right now, this is a truncated line consisting of a couple of recorders, as you see on screen, and a few camera SKUs. But do keep in mind, we were aiming for end of the year to transition all of our hardware from our Chinese manufacturing to Korea. But with COVID-19 and everything that's occurred, that may be delayed a little bit longer. But there will be a point where all of our manufacturing will be Korean-based, South Korean-based manufacturing here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the devices that we have here. And first is going to be our 2 recorder SKUs, and that's going to be our NVR MX16 PoE 1U4K1 and our NVR MX08 PoE 1U4K1. So basically, same machine. You're going to have functionality for either 16 channels or 8 channels. I'm going to click on the 16 channel for a brief second to talk about a little bit of the specs here. So this 16-channel NVR supports up to 8 megapixel resolution. It does have 200 megabits of throughput. However, it does support not only H.265, but H.265 plus. You do get 2 hard drive bays with a 6 terabyte support each for up to 12 terabytes. But do keep in mind, with that H.265 and H.265 plus, that brings down your bandwidth and hard drive consumption tremendously. It's pretty much 30 to 50% drop in bandwidth from H.265 from H.264. So that's really going to go a long way in allowing you to add higher resolution, higher resolution cameras to these recorders than you previously could with your H.264. These are these remain ONVIF compliant. These are single NIC card devices. So you get one RJ45, a couple of USB ports in the back. It is a 1U unit, so if you need to, you will have to utilize a rack shelf if you want to put this on a rack mount. You get one HDMI output, and now these do replace the NVR 708 and 716 recorders. And one of the added bonuses with that is now the HDMI output is 4K. So previously with the NVR 708 and 716, you had support for up to 8 megapixel resolution, but the output was only 1080p. So you really couldn't utilize that on any monitor. With the NVR MX16 and 08 PoE, these are 4K video outputs now. So you can utilize these with up to 8 megapixel cameras at that 4K video output. Now, next we have our standout bullets and domes here. So the IPMX B20F, this is going to be a great small entry-level bullet and dome. These are basically the same functionality, so I'm not going to touch on going into both the bullet and dome. We'll just talk about the bullet here. This is going to be the IPMX B20F, and then you have the D20F IRW1. These are fixed lens camera, 2 megapixel at 3.6 millimeter. The dome is 2.8 millimeter. These have 100 feet of smart IR, which means those IRs, they will adjust the intensity based on any kind of detection of IR blowback. We have also in here a Starvis chipset, which means this is a Starlight camera. The Starvis that we're mentioning here is the actual Sony manufacturer name for that CMOS chipset, the Sony Starvis chipset. But for us, it is Starlight, which is going to give you low light color image processing. We also have IVS rules embedded in here as well. So those are those advanced analytics you've come to expect from IC Realtime, including tripwire, intrusion zone, missing object, abandoned object, as well as some advanced analytics as well. As I mentioned, with the D20F, here you're going to have a 2.8 millimeter. Otherwise, all these specs are basically the same. Now, on the dome here, you will have 128 gigs of micro SD storage if you want to use this as a standalone camera as well. Then we have our IPFX B40V IRW2 and D40V IRW2. These are 4 megapixel solutions. These are mid-range or mid-size cameras. They're also varifocal at 2.7 millimeter to 13.5 millimeter motorized varifocal lenses here. They also have smart IR at 197 feet. All of these cameras are PoE. The PTZ is going to be PoE plus. You also have one channel audio in and one channel audio out on the pigtail. So what that means is you can utilize a powered microphone or a powered speaker. These cameras come with 256 gigs of micro SD storage, and again, come with that fantastic IVS suite that's going to give you that tripwire, intrusion zone, missing object, abandoned object, as well as our advanced analytics as well. And again, we have that in both a bullet and a dome, and you're going to see all the same specs here, whether you're using a bullet or a dome. It's really going to come up to whether or what the solution is for your install, whether it's going to be a commercial, residential, your mounting heights. That's really what decisions you're going to have to make on whether you're going to utilize a bullet or a dome. These cameras also support our Starlight with our Sony Starvis CMOS sensor. So with those, we're not using off-the-shelf technology. We're using advanced Sony hardware inside these cameras. Now here we have a fantastic PTZ, our IP ELP 2045X IRW1. This is going to be a 2 megapixel with 45 times optical zoom. That's a fantastic distance there. That's going to give you about 2 miles of distance when it comes to that 45 times optical zoom. 1,804 feet of smart IR. Now, what makes this a great camera is, unlike our 2400L that we discontinued, that what made that a bit of an expensive PTZ was it utilized a laser IR at 1,500 feet. Well, we've been able to get a non-laser IR at 1,804 feet, which brings down the cost of this camera tremendously. It's high PoE capable, and you can utilize our high PoE resources, whether it's a high PoE injector that we sell here at IC Realtime, as well as a high PoE switch that we have in our product line here at IC Realtime. That's going to be, and for that optical zoom, that's going to be 3.95 millimeter to 177.7 millimeter varifocal lens camera. Again, you're going to have that one channel audio in and one channel audio out on the pigtail. Our IVS with auto tracking. So this, with that auto tracking, as long as you've got that camera mounted between 20 to 24 feet or higher, you're going to be able, that PTZ is going to be able to track any object that is moving to within the PTZ's range of motion. You have a maximum wattage of 38 watts when you have the IRs on. And again, 1,804 feet of smart IR. Now, lastly is going to be the IPMX E20F IRW1. Again, 2 megapixel indoor-outdoor Vandal eyeball dome. A lot of you like to call that a turret dome. This is going to be a 3.6 millimeter fixed lens with 98 feet of smart IR, PoE capable. As you see here, all of our TAA line, which you can access by simply going to series on icrealtime.com and selecting TAA. But in the description, you'll all see that they're all made in Korea. Will indicate on any of our devices that are made in Korea, the fact that they are made in Korea here. Again, this is a small turret dome or eyeball dome camera that has a lot packed into it. This also uses our Sony Starvish chipset for Starlight functionality and does support IVS as well. Again, with those great tripwire intrusion zone, missing object, abandoned object. You do have 120 decibel true wide dynamic range for great color contrast. And that's our TAA line. We're very proud to be transitioning all our hardware to Korean manufacturing. And you're going to see great things from IC Realtime on this TAA line. We're coming out with a lot of great new products. So just keep on the lookout for everything that we're offering here. So now let's go ahead and we'll go back to field any questions anyone might have on the Dinger or the TAA line. So we'll go ahead with Christian here. Is the integration with intercom systems? So it is, and I'm not sure if you're referencing the dash line that's integratable with intercom systems, but at this point, if that intercom system supports RTSP, we have an advanced mode on the Dinger and the Flutter that allows you to stream RTSP to any device. So if your intercom system does support that, you can utilize that. We have had installers utilize the Dinger doorbell and then utilize a door strike with our alarm output relays on the actual recorders themselves. So you have that ability to do that as well. From Todd, if the NVR has existing control for driver, will dash cameras connect to the DVR have the same functionality as the normal cameras would? That's actually a great question. And yes, absolutely. You will see that functionality if you've added the Dinger or any of the dash devices to your recorder and you're pulling your stream from your control 4 driver from the recorder, then it's going to see every camera that's on there, including the Dinger and the Flutter. Here from Tony, is it possible to add a camera over the internet to your NVRs using the camera's WAN and port forwarding? Yes, absolutely. You are able to do that. If you have port forwarded that device, you are able to then add any camera to any recorder remotely. As long as you've port forwarded and you've changed the TCP port that you're port forwarding, you can absolutely add any camera remotely to a recorder with port forwarding. All right, let's see if, let's wait a few seconds, see if anybody else has any questions here. All right, seems
while
like
we wait,
no
Michael, I
want
wanted to say thank you for. Yeah, while we wait, Michael, I wanted to say thank you for taking time out of your day, and also everybody else at IC Realtime too. I mean, we're excited about the new TAA line and the new dash products. It's
absolutely
a lot of nice stuff.
pleasure.
I mean,
thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think what you guys have done really hits a big need in the the CI industry where, you know, people are looking at Ring and Nest and you can't integrate with an MVR. And now you have that ability, which is huge on the dash line.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As well as no requirement for cloud storage.
Oh, yes, definitely. So if there is no more questions coming in, Michael, I want to thank you. And, you know, hopefully you guys have a great week, and hopefully you guys found some really cool new features with the new dash line.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.